Today we'll talk about preparing for retirement if you don't have a lot of money saved and you don't have very much money to save either. I recently met with a friend of mine who is in a situation like this. She's been doing research as far as what to do with her money. She's in a position where she's got a little bit saved with an old 401k from someone she used to work with, but that's it. So in her research, she's looking at different products. She does not want to put money into the stock market. She said, I don't want to lose money. It stresses me out. No, it's okay if the money grows slowly. I just want to know that it will be there. So what we discussed are two different vehicles: whole life insurance with a laser focus on the cash value, and then also some different annuity products. So a little bit of background here. She's currently 50 years old. Her goal is to retire at either age 60 or 70. She can still work for a while, at least 10 years, but possibly another 20. Her husband also works. Right now, what she'll have in retirement is Social Security. Now, if she wants to save money for retirement, what she's built up thus far is about $20,000, and that's with an old 401k from a former employer. Again, she prefers not to have anything in the market. Even though there's a potential to grow that faster, it stresses her out too much. From an emotional investment standpoint, it's just not going to work for her. So when we look at different products that can alleviate that risk, let's start with annuities. So firstly, is an annuity a good idea for her? Probably not, in my opinion. However, we still wanted to look at two different options here. Option A is called an indexed annuity. This is a product that will allow her to grow her money safely, where we can tie it to the market. How it works is if the market goes up, her value will go up with it. If the market goes down, her principal is protected, so she can't lose money. So we looked at that in terms of one option. And then option B is an income annuity. This would be a good option if she said, hey, that $20,000 balance, I don't care about it. But if I can trade that for a guaranteed income stream down the road, kind of like a pension, where I'm just guaranteed to get income for the rest of my life, I might be interested in that. That's a lot like what an income annuity is. Let's take a look at some numbers here. So first, we'll look at the indexed annuity, and we'll look at an illustration, and then we'll look at it on Excel. So what we've got going on here is a $20,000 deposit, so you can see the premium. What this would represent is a transfer of money coming from her 401k to this annuity. Now, what do you notice up top? Guaranteed rates. This is displaying an absolute worst case scenario. How you can tell is when we look at the account value crediting rate, it's 0% forever. So this displays an absolute worst case scenario. And this would follow the assumption that she rolls her money over to this product, and then the market tanks or flatlines every single year, which is unrealistic. So let's go down to the next page, and what we're going to look at are the non-guaranteed values. And what this will show is a crediting rate based on stock market history. So let's take a look at the non-guaranteed values, but we'll look at this on Excel just to make it simple. So when we look at the illustration, what we've got is a crediting rate that is no higher than 8%. So here's what's going on. This is an indexed annuity with a cap rate of 8%. So how this works is her money is linked to the S&P 500. It is not invested in the market. This is an indexed annuity. So what that means is if the market goes up, her money will increase in value. But if the market goes down, her money will not go down, it will just flatline. So her principal is protected with this product. Now the trade-off here is if the market goes up 30%, do you think she'll get 30%? No. The cap is 8%. The cap is the most you can earn on any year. With this specific product, the current cap rate is 8%. Now, if you're ever looking into an indexed annuity, you'll see that you'll have a current cap rate, and then you'll also have a guaranteed cap rate. The guaranteed cap rate is typically very low when you read through the contract. What that represents is the guaranteed minimum cap rate the insurance company can set on your product, meaning they can lower it after you start. So if her guaranteed cap rate is 3% and she's at 8% today, that means if the insurance company wants to, they can lower that cap rate. So whenever you're looking at an indexed annuity, what I always like to suggest is make sure that you at least look at a company that A, guarantees not to reduce the cap rate. Some products will guarantee not to reduce the cap rate for a 7-year period or something like that. Or go with a company that has a strong renewal rate history, meaning we see in their track record, they don't have a history of slashing cap rates after someone starts their product. But what this is based on is market history when we look at it. So if we see 8%, that means the market produced a gain that year. If we see 0%, that means the market did not produce any gain that year. We've got the account value, which is what her money is actually growing by. So this crediting rate is applied to the account value. Then you've got the surrender fee. So with annuities, you'll typically see 7 to 10 year surrender periods. Meaning if she cashes out, or if she says, I don't like this anymore, and I want to transfer it to a different annuity or a different retirement account because I don't like the product, well, then we've got to deal with the surrender fees. That's money that the insurance company would retain. So looking at this, the account value, we can look at that. Now she's 50 now, so she's not gonna really be able to touch this until she's 59 and a half anyway. So based on historical performance, meaning what the market did the past 10 years, and this current cap rate of 8%, over the next 10 years, it can potentially grow to about $34,000. Right now, it's worth $20,000. So this is a potential option to grow the money that is presently in her 401k, again, without any market risk. The main question I would ask is when you look at those surrender fees, what are your thoughts? Does that make you uncomfortable? Do you feel that if you just keep the money in the 401k, that you might cash it out before age 59 and a half, meaning over the next 10 years, even though you have the 10% penalty? Can you see that being a possibility? The answer is no, no possible way. Okay, then the chances that you'll be impacted by these surrender fees are very low because we're hit with them if we're accessing it during the first 10 years, which is before we're 59 and a half. Make sense? All right, cool. So that is the growth annuity. Let's take a look at the income annuity next. So with the income annuity, it's kind of like a pension, or an illustration I like to use, it's like buying a rental property where you don't have access to any of the equity in the property, but pretend the property is completely paid for. You're never going to have any maintenance or bad tenants. You're going to get your check every single month on time for the rest of your life. Sound like a good deal? Depending on your real estate experience, maybe. A lot of people like this type of product though. So what we've got here is an income sheet. So what this shows, we've got guaranteed monthly income and guaranteed annual income. It's the same thing. The annual income just multiplies the monthly income by 12. So if she put $20,000 in this product today, and she wanted to start to take income at age 60, she'd be guaranteed to receive about $200 per month for the rest of her life. If she said, hey, I can wait until I'm 65, then she'd be guaranteed to receive about $320 per month for the rest of her life. Now, when we look at these products, the account balance typically does not grow very much. Sometimes we might see it grow a little bit, but it's not that attractive in most situations. Where this works really well is if she said, I don't want to access the money, like I'm not going to. I just want income down the road, and I like the idea of this to supplement what I will be receiving in Social Security. That's where it might make sense in her particular situation. So what we like to look at in cases like this is we've got the income chart, but what does it actually look like if I start income at 60? Well, it's 60 years old. There we go. There's the 202 per month, which comes out to a little bit more than $2,400 per year. What if I defer until I'm 62? Well, now I get about $250 per month. And if I defer until I'm 65, then I see I get about $320 per month in income, again, guaranteed for the rest of my life. Now, something you can look at that will always help to see how much you're actually getting beyond what you paid in is a column like this, total income, which just tallies up all the payments you received. So think of it this way. At 50, you transferred $20,000. And if you said at 65, I'm going to start to pull $320 per month in income, well, that comes out to a little bit more than $3,800 per year. And I see that by the time I hit 75, I received a total of $42,000 in change. So I put in 20, I got 20 back, plus another 22. The longer I live, the better these annuities are, because I keep getting that payment no matter what. It's contractually guaranteed. Does that make sense? So with the income annuity, I don't know that I would recommend that option because when we looked at those income figures, they are fairly small relative to what that $20,000 will purchase her today. Now, if she really likes it, it is an option, but we want to show different options so she can pick the one that's in her best interest. What I see some people do in situations like this, and again, this is if they say, get me out of the market, I do not want it, I just don't like my money where it is. Okay, if we are going to look at an annuity, maybe we look at a indexed annuity that's focused on growth, or it's just a fixed annuity, which has a guaranteed interest rate. We let it grow, and then when we hit 60, we look at different income annuities at that point in time. That's a potential option. But those were the annuity options we looked at for her. And then she was also interested in a whole life insurance policy. Now, what was interesting about this is she had been doing independent research and she knew a little bit about it before I spoke with her. So the core benefits of the cash value, this is why she was interested. One, it's a place I can grow my money safely. I typically see it produce somewhere between 4 to 5%, and that's regardless of what occurs in the market. So safe place to put your money, not tied to the market. She was interested in that. Two, I can access it without any penalties anytime I want. So unlike the annuity, which is really just set it and forget it until I'm 60 when I can access it without penalties from the insurance company, without penalties from the IRS, this I can access anytime. Once I deposit money into a whole life insurance policy, I can access the cash value 10 business days after I make that deposit. So it's very accessible in that respect. So she liked that. And then third, it's tax-free as long as I follow IRS rules, which is really up to the agent to do that. So here's what she said. I want to save money here, and I'd like to save $10,000 per year. Here's the thing though, Steve. I don't know that I can do that every year. Some years in the past, yes, I could have hit 10K no problem. However, other years, that would have stressed me out. So what we do not want to do is set her up with a policy where she just has a $10,000 billed premium every single year. That's where policies lapse and where people say, this product stinks because they're locked in to this huge premium. So what I would look at in terms of a policy setup is as follows. I would set it up where she only has to pay about $100 per month, and then she has the option to add up to $10,000 per year. Let's take a look at the numbers. So we've got the different illustrations. Whenever we're looking at numbers, what we'll want to go through are the actual illustrations from the insurance carrier. We've got different hypotheticals here. I'm going to start on Excel with just the minimum. So she wanted to start with what? Not $10,000 per year. She wants a policy where she can go up to 10 but she's only committed to $100 per month. This is it right here. This is the illustration we just flashed on the screen. So she's 50 years old. Here's her minimum, $1,200 per year. So you've got the minimum premium in red, and then if she wanted to add extra money to the policy, this would be referred to as her paid up additions rider. Here we've got in parentheses extra money. I like to call this a cash dump-in, because when we add money here, it immediately grows the cash value. It will also grow the long-term death benefit, but why everyone is interested in it is for the cash value, of course. So this is an illustration of one policy showing what it will look like if she just pays the minimum of $100 per month. Let's look at the cash value and death benefit figures. So what we've got here, first year cash value, not attractive, especially if I pay just the minimum. Life insurance, $200,000 initially. Now, in this example, we've got the minimum only going in, and look at this after the 7th year. That death benefit drops quite a bit. That's optional. If she proceeds with this policy and says, I'm going to start with the minimum and I plan on adding more, but then she doesn't add more, I'm going to look at it every year and say, hey, the policy was set up to handle up to $10K per year. If you fund just the minimum, the numbers don't look that good, and I would actually recommend reducing this death benefit in order to reduce the costs and see more of that payment come back to cash value every year. Because if we keep the death benefit high, the numbers will look worse than what we already see here, and it don't look that good, does it? No, it takes, when we look at this, there we go, between 17 and 18 years to get her money back. Not very attractive. Here's how you make it look attractive. Same exact product, all we're doing here is adding more money. So, same product, but $5K per year. Same minimum, so she sets it up where she's billed for $100 per month. Then, at her discretion, by logging onto her portal with her mobile app or online, however she likes, she can just dump in extra money. And this is because it's with Guardian. Guardian has that type of PUA flexibility. Not all companies do. So we've got an extra $3,800 going in, net out of pocket, $5K per year in this illustration. That amount might vary every year. She does not have to follow the schedule that we see on the illustration. We'll track the actual performance over time, but this is showing what it would look like if she hits $5K per year. Look at this. Instead of taking 18 years to get her money back, with the exact same policy, when does she get her money back? In year 6. Way more attractive. And in this example, she funds it through the age of 63, which gets a total of $70,000 into the policy. And then she's got 84 and change in cash value, which she can access. And it continues to grow over time, which is nice. Let's look at the last option, which again is the exact same product, but just showing what it looks like if she adds more. A lot of people like to do this if they have the means, where all I'm doing here is getting that same 70K in, but I'm getting it in faster. So I got it in over 7 years instead of over 14 years. As a result, her break-even point is year 4. Going further up, cash value looks a lot better right out of the gates. She's at about 88%. A lot of times we get the question, hey, does this work with a small amount of money? Because a lot of times folks will see individuals putting $100,000 per year or more than that into whole life insurance for the cash value. And the question is, if I put in, or if I only have $5,000 or $10,000 to work with, will this still work? The answer is yes, if the premium is minimized. That is the key right there. Shrink the insurance expenses, stuff the cash value, the PUA rider, and that's where you'll see that cash value immediately. So this one will look the best. The nice thing about it though, is these are all the exact same policy. So she literally starts with this on day one and then can add more as time passes. She's not committed to anything from an illustration standpoint. So that is an overview of her strategy. To wrap things up, we looked at an annuity and a life insurance policy. The annuity is a potential option for her 401k. I don't think that it's a great option based on the amount of money that she has to work with right now. I might leave it where it is in the 401k, or maybe look to roll it over in an IRA, which we would work with someone else for that, just because our company does not provide that service. But I might look at that. If she said, nope, I really, really like the annuity, I understand that the growth is limited or the income might not be that great long-term, what I might look at is option A today, and then look to transfer that annuity to an income annuity later down the road. This way I can get a little bit more growth or more potential growth on my money beforehand. And then with the life insurance policy, that option I did like more for her, because starting at $100 per month, that's not an issue for her. The big question I would have though is, aside from that 100, you mentioned 10K is a potential max, do you think that it's realistic you'll hit 10K? Not every year. What about 1 year? Yes. 2 years? Yes. How about 5 years? That's okay. I want to ask these questions just to try to make sure that I think there's a good chance you'll be able to aggressively fund it during some years, because that will accelerate the cash value growth. And when I'm measuring the rate of return, the actual performance, it'll be at the strongest. If I max fund it for a couple of years, that does really beef up the overall performance of the policy. So with all of that said, I do hope that this video was helpful. I would love to hear any thoughts you have. Please leave them in the comments below, or feel free to DM me on any of our platforms. And as always, I hope this helps. Thanks so much.